there will be many more coming your way. So stay tuned, and we'll keep sending invites and make sure you take time and attend. So today's session, we wanted to address the core importance of strategic planning and its contribution to business continuity. So what we really want to do is to give you the ability to take a few steps, right? As a finance persona, how should your business, how should your organization respond to the current scenario, which is clearly unprecedented? We haven't seen this anything like this in the past. We obviously heard about this in the playbooks, but yeah, the reality it's actually happening now. So what we want you to do is we want you to recognize some of the ways that you can really help your organization not only mitigate the risks based on the current scenario, but we also want you to create opportunities in these times and see how you as a finance leader can really help and your organization to influence the strategy and to make a real strategic impact. So from Oracle, we think it's very important for finance teams to leverage different solutions to model different scenarios based on the current economic conditions or our changing conditions. How the conditions impact your financial results, how do we do a course correction, how do we realign the strategy, the goals we have defined previously. So it is our intent today to provide you and expose to you some good tools from Oracle EPM solutions that can help you move from the current emergency and crisis management today and plan and model a variety of scenarios to make sure that your business continues and stays on track. We have an excellent set of speakers here who will talk with you for the next 45 minutes. My name is Saurabh. You probably have been getting a lot of email from me in terms of registrations. So that is myself. I am based out of Dubai. I am a part of the Oracle Business Development team. And if you have any questions post this session and you want to engage in further dialogues, you could also reach out to me along with the sales reps whom you've been talking to. To the right is Ms. Nala Abdul Hamid. She comes from Oracle's solution engineering team, has a very, very strong foundation in terms of implementations across industries for on-premise and for cloud solutions. And towards the end, and the last is Mr. Bishoy Sami, who represents Azdan, who will throw some light in terms of the reference stories he's had or Azdan has had in your region specific or across industries. So very quickly before we move on, I wanted to address certain housekeeping uh, issues here. So please focus on the console. We have a question answer console right in the below. Use that feature to ask any questions to the panelist or to the moderator, which is myself. And once we are towards the end of the session, we will ensure and we will respond to those questions either via the chat or in person. Now, before I hand over to my colleague, I want to quickly invoke a polling session here. Now, the reason what we're doing this polling session is one, to make sure that you respond to this question in terms of what you think is the biggest challenge you're facing from a planning perspective, right? So you have multiple options there. Feel free to choose either one response or multiple responses, and we will have exactly 30 seconds on the clock for you to respond to the poll. So my sincere ask is people who have joined the call quickly respond to the poll, and my colleague Bishoy and Nala will look at the responses and we will pick up the most which resonates with everybody on the call and try and address that here. So I have people polling in and the clock starts. I still have 40% people voted. Uh, still about 20 more people to vote. So very quickly, it's very important for us to understand what your challenge is and then incorporate that messaging in my next speech. So Nala, having said that, while the poll is happening, we have a last few seconds. I hand it over to you to take over uh, your pitch, please.
Thank you, Saurabh, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Please acknowledge if you can see my screen and my voice is clear for you.
Roger for both of them, Nala.
That is great. Thank you very much. And thank you for joining Oracle today as we talk about how to deploy the integrated business planning process within Oracle Solutions. And I'm joining you today from Oracle Egypt. I work with Oracle in empowering organizations just like you through their digital transformation, and it's really a pleasure to be talking to all of you today. Please take a look at our Safe Harbor statement. And this is your agenda for today. Within the next 30 minutes, you are going to see how Oracle Planning Cloud will help you streamline your planning process and, more importantly, deal with uncertainty to drive a better plan and a more effective forecast. And definitely, we are going to address all of the challenges that was available on the poll that was created earlier. So let's start with our planning challenges, which is not only is change accelerating, but business uncertainty has become the normal. So whether it's the disruption that comes from outside forces, such as the new regulations or the global events or global incidents that is currently taking place, or even some other realities within your market. But in both scenarios and in both cases, organizations and companies that respond quickly are able to stay ahead of the curve. And that is why we're introducing the Enterprise Performance Management Planning Cloud today, because as an Oracle Modern EPM planning solution, it enables you to understand how, when, and where to adjust to disruptions. So indeed, as a matter of fact, EPM and the planning cloud has become critical to becoming flexible and to navigate in uncertain times. So how critical is your planning process? Well, Benjamin Franklin once said this quote, which is, if you fail to plan, you are basically planning to fail. Do you agree? Well, I do agree with him because a good plan indicates a better overall company performance because you know you are making the best utilization of your capital and basically setting out your budget where it needs to be. And what are the fundamentals of successful planning? So we understand that it's critical, but what are the fundamentals of successful planning? Well, for starters, planning should not be limited to corporate finance because organizations that are most successful at enterprise planning, they connect the operational planners to the corporate finance. So it is in a manner that provides synergy to both of the key stakeholders. You need to align strategy to your operational plan. You want to account for each department and how they contribute to your overall company's objectives and to the strategy of your company. You would also want to model your financial statements, such as your profit and loss or your balance sheet, and you want to see how your plan affects your key performance indicators. Now, more than ever, you would require to accommodate uncertainty. So your planning tool should be agile and scalable enough to support you with different scenario modeling and quickly understand and visualize how, when your inputs are different, how exactly does that affect you. And moreover, a company's plan consists of sensitive information. So protecting it with just a password, this is not anymore good enough. So why are we here today? How Oracle could support you to streamline your planning process and make sure that you proactively cope with uncertainties. Well, Oracle Planning Cloud is a purpose-built business processes that is available within the whole portfolio of Oracle EPM Cloud. that is a perfect fit for both your corporate finance as well as your operational planners throughout the enterprise, such as sales, IT, marketing, HCM, etc., across all of the departments. So it allows you to align your strategy with your operations, letting them work in synergy. It supports both driver-based and trend-based, which is the historical trends, with trend-based planning to help you build a more realistic plan. It also supports the zero-based budgeting for effective and thorough expense planning and also rolling forecasts. And as always, we at Oracle, we like to leverage emerging technologies. It's embedded within the solution. So also artificial intelligence is available for you for predictive planning capabilities. The solution comes with 4 out-of-the-box pre-built business processes that is based on best practice and gives you the faster time to value. So this is not just doing the business process from scratch. For starters, the projects, you could manage and the cost, you could evaluate the performance on your project portfolio. And within the workforce process, you could plan for your new hires by employee, by job code, or even by using driver-based planning for the compensation-related expenses. Within the capital solution, you could control your CapEx spend with a clear vision of the capital needs. And last but not least, the financials, which is the full set of financial statement plans. These are all available with built-in KPIs and interactive dashboards to support you through your faster decision-making through visualizations of your plan. Also, you get easy versioning of your plan to support your what-if modeling and sensitivity analysis, which definitely is key factor when dealing with unprecedented events like we are facing nowadays, and leveraging the artificial intelligence where Oracle could tell you the more likely predictions of your plan. That is based on sophisticated algorithm and also your history and your trends. So let's dig deeper in all of these 4 solutions, starting with just the user experience, because our customers always say that it's modern, mobile, and friendly, and also intuitive, which increases definitely your user productivity. It creates navigation plans that are tailored for a group of users based on their usage needs. Users such as sales planners, expense planners, financial analysts, and also executives. And each one of these will have their own navigation flows. They will have their own set of data and process that only allowed for them. So this is particularly crucial for you in order to ensure security across your whole organization. And because you also appreciate that user experience, they like dealing with Excel sheets. It's easier, it's more familiar. So Oracle understands that, and that is why it is integrated. This solution is integrated with Microsoft Excel. So you could use the solution through your web-based, or you could do it through the Excel sheets as well. Starting with the first solution, the financials. So financials, it is driver-based and trend-based expense and revenue planning with fully integrated financial statements. These are just a couple of the many out-of-the-box interactive dashboards. As you could see, there are some navigation flows that are available out of the box, right on the left and on the top, which facilitates an efficient planning and forecasting process by organizing all of the information that you need and the workflow that you need in an intuitive manner. These vertical and horizontal tabs, they aid navigation through the planning process, and they're also accessible on a user's security access. So not everyone could access all of the data. And as you see, these are some variances, visualization between the plan, the forecast, and the actual, and you can see it across different periods, different times, different years, different time horizons. This is also an example of dashboards related to your income statement. So along with your KPIs in the top half. So as you can see, trends, comparisons between different balances, and what is your expected net income according to this version of the plan. This is an example of the driver-based revenue planning. It supports both driver-based and the assumptions based on the trend. Example of the trends could be current or prior year actuals. And in addition to that, you have a flexibility to add a percentage of increase or decrease to the trend, resulting in the calculated value, which is in the middle of the tabular format. And then you can do further adjustments to the calculated amount and have different versions of it. As you can see here, any changes you make to your assumptions will be reflected real-time in the below dashboard. So any adjustments you make to the calculations or any percentages of increase in the trends, you can always visualize how will that impact your gross profit. Oracle EPM Cloud, it provides you the ability to leverage the predictive modeling capabilities. You can compare your current forecast to the one that is statistically predicted. So we could have different calculations and different adjustments and so on from the sales or from the people related to the revenue planning. But then you could also leverage the artificial intelligence to see if this plan is feasible or not. So as you can see here, this is an example of running a prediction. All the historical data for each member of your plan is retrieved. And as I mentioned, it uses sophisticated time series forecasting techniques, its algorithm, to predict the future performance of these accounts. You can see here what were the history trends, and you can see worst case and best case scenarios, the plan that has been initiated with your sales team, and what is actually the prediction based on Oracle recommendations. So to cope with uncertainty also, you need to be able to quickly create different versions of your plan, change your assumptions, and quickly visualize the impact on your KPIs and cash flow. And with Oracle here, you could do that. You could have different versions and you could adjust each version of this and quickly see your KPIs and the reflections on your financial statements when you decide to go, so that you can decide to go with each version of the plan. You could also compare these versions in order to make sure that you are doing the smartest decision and you are having an informed decision. After you're done with your different versioning, you can see the fully integrated financial dashboard pulling together all the information from the enabled business processes. So also information related to your capital planning, projects planning, and workforce planning, because all of these solutions are integrated together. So you will be able to see the full financial statement that is coming from all of these processes. You can see it in the visualizations of financial statements and your KPIs as well. This is in a nutshell for the financials planning that is available within the cloud. How about the one related to the capital? Now for the capital planning, Oracle provides for you the capital planning, which is you can create a new plan, which is a standalone or project-based assets. It supports depreciation and amortization calculations using the different methods, cash flow planning and funding for investments and all leased assets in compliance with IFRS 16. You could have some buy versus lease comparisons, as well as asset-related expense planning for full profit and loss impact. Here, as you can see, there's centralized assumptions, which ensures consistency across the organization. And of course, if you have the authorized role, you could, if you want to, adjust that on an individual asset. But this is just for people so that it will be more consistent. Here, you can easily plan for new assets. Your assets could be tangible or intangible. Or you could also make changes to your existing assets. You can plan for your cash flow and funding options, make some prioritization, and approve the assets if you want to include it in the plan. Here you can see the comparisons between purchase assets versus the leased assets so that you can make the informed decision if you want to go with either of each options. So you can see here the expense analysis for the different scenarios, and also you can see what will be the impact on your cash flow if you decide to go with each model, either the lease or the buy. Now, this is an example of how you can see your assets planning, comparing the cash flow for the purchased asset for the lease asset. You can see the comparison, you can see the impact on your balance sheet. You could also see the impact on your cash flow and your profit and loss. So moving forward to the workforce planning. Within the workforce planning, you could plan your compensation planning for your new hires by employee, by job code, or both using driver-based planning. It also allows you to plan at a level of details that makes sense to your business. So whatever the level of detail that you would want to plan for, it is available. And also there's the existing employees. So if you're planning to do any transfers or retirements for your employees, it also supports any planning related to your existing employees. In this example, we are planning by employee and a job. You could add information or attributes about new hires, such as the employee type, when is the planned start month, and also the application, it supports out of the box for regular, temporary, and also for your contracts. Here you could also see how you can plan for existing employees. You have a summary of the compensation expense impact on the workforce plan. You can review the assumptions, which we said we have global assumptions. You could review the assumptions that were used to calculate the compensation expense. And these centralized or global assumptions, it ensures you the consistency across the organization. But of course, you could adjust the assumptions by group as needed. Some of the things that you can do for existing employees could be transfers or departures of existing employees or relocations and so on, and see what it will be the impact or the financial impact on these transactions. Now, this is an example of a configurable reporting on employee level demographics. You can see the criteria by gender, by age band, maybe by highest education level, and also by skill set. And let me assure you here that this is just an example of out of the box that is available. However, if you would want to see your reporting and dashboards in a different manner, or you could want to see different set of information, that is also will be easily available for you. This is also an example of dashboards, but now we are targeting expenses within the same attributes by gender, by age band, by education level, and by skill set. Now, all of these, the reason behind all of these dashboards and reports is basically that you can take the next step, that you can say if you want to go with this plan or not, if this is aligned with your company strategy or not. Moving on to the fourth out-of-the-box solution, which is the projects. Now, you can plan for your internal projects, such as IT or marketing campaign planning, some research and development plans, projects, but you could also have detailed project plannings. So if you are more into complex or project-oriented industries, if you're in construction, engineering, professional services, you can leverage this planning for your projects because it has driver-based planning for individual employees and asset-related expenses as well as project revenues. And you could also see the project performance. So you get out-of-the-box analysis and reports to review your project performance, revenues, expenses, cash flows. You can see real-time metrics, including the net present value, the payback, internal rate of return, return on investment, to cover your project performance, and also the earned value measurement, which is crucial for you to track your project variances and performance. These are examples of several dashboards for monitoring your overall project portfolio. As you can see here the plan of your total investments in comparison to your total expenses. What are the expected project profitability and the expected project cash flow? And you can see categories of your expenses, and you can see the trend across all of the timeline for your projects. Project metrics and revenue and expense trends can be visualized in a dashboard. As you can see here, these are the dimensions that you could leverage for your plan and for your reporting as well. So you can see your ROI or your net present value or even your benefit cost ratio. You can see all of your KPIs, your important KPIs, for one project, but also you can see it for a group of projects or a set of projects. So maybe one project will seem very promising, but let's say if connected to another projects, if we want to see a consolidated view, maybe this will have a bad impact on your cash flow or your profitability. The project framework here, you can see the expense assumptions. It supports best practice planning, which is driver-based planning. So you have assumptions for your labor, for your material, for your equipment, or you could also add any other cost elements that you see fit for you. So you could have the assumptions based on that exactly cost element. And within the revenue scope, you could see examples of revenue planning could be cost plus, could be fixed cost, or could be also time and material. And these assumptions regarding, for example, your cost plus margins, assumptions related to your revenue recognition, this will impact your calculation of the revenue. So once you are done with your assumptions, you just say calculate revenue, and then the system automatically will calculate the revenue for you based on the assumptions. Now, this is how the earned value management dashboard displays your project progress and performance. And you see what are the variances between the actuals and the budget as well. Now, these were all more into the financial and operational planning, but also we support scenario modeling. So you could leverage scenario modeling for your long-range planning. You could plan for different business cases and see the impact on your financial statements on the long run for years to come. There's also Goal Seek, where you could assign a target that you want to reach in a future period and see how you would accomplish that. So perhaps me as a company, I would like to achieve the target of a revenue for 1 billion by 2025. How can I accomplish that? There's also a feature which is called an audit trail, which provides an understanding of the logic of the model. So basically, in a simple word, it presents the most complex relationships in numbers and in words. And because the information in the model becomes transparent to all participants, users have an intuitive and transparent way to view the assumptions and calculations in the model. Now, scenario modeling and 4 out-of-the-box solutions which are available, these are all part of a bigger portfolio, a bigger spectrum of Oracle, which is the Oracle EPM Cloud. Within the Oracle EPM Cloud, you can connect all planning, as we mentioned, from long-range planning to bottom-up budgets, forecasts, or planning by line of businesses. It incorporates the best practice processes, and always you see the visualizations on reports, on dashboards of your plan. It also supports solutions for clothing with confidence. You can have solution for consolidation and close, or for the close process or orchestration, for tax reporting, for account reconciliations, for also including disclosures. There's also the part related to reporting. So in order for you to publish your reports, we also have a narrative reporting, which is a tool for you in order to be able to publish your financial statements, report packages, report book, and so on. And you could always outperform with intelligence because of the embedded artificial intelligence and embedded machine learnings, intelligent process automation, and natural language processing. So you always get to have the smartest decision. These Oracle EPM portfolio, it has been recognized as a leader by Gartner, and these are, it has been recognized multiple times, but these are the most recent ones, especially focusing on the financial planning part and the financial close solution. So we are leaders in the market ahead of all of our competitors. We have the most complete solution for EPM. And now, what is the future of this EPM? Well, for currently, this is the value of now. So this is the value of what is actually you're going to get now. These are some of the of our customers, of our existing customers. We made a survey last year, and these were the numbers that we came back with. So you get an increase in the collaboration, which by the result in the ball, this was actually one of the major challenges that you are currently facing. So this is more than half of improved communication and collaboration. You get increase in value added analysis because you have the reports and the dashboards and you are leveraging best practice processes. So there's a more value to your plan, and there you could do a much informed and a much smarter decision using this tool. And this is an example of the future. Now, as you can see here today, it is enterprise performance management, which has always been focused on getting rid of spreadsheets and getting more high value tasks such as data analysis for you. However, we are heading into a more smarter, intelligent performance management, where you could automate all of the more of the redundant work, such as the close orchestration. So leveraging the machine learning and the AI, more and more automated processes will be in place so that you can always take action on issues rather than just data analysis. So in a nutshell, what I would like for you to remember the most out of the day of the Oracle Planning Cloud, it is the complete planning cloud with the 4 out-of-the-box solutions and scenario modelings. They are all integrated and connected together. It's an intelligent planning cloud because leveraging artificial intelligence and machine learning and all the interactive dashboards, you get to go through a very intelligent process and journey. And also, as I mentioned, it is the best in class. It's actually based on more than 30 years of experience. It was previously known as Hyperion, if you are familiar with Hyperion product, but it's also a leader in the market, the Oracle Planning Cloud. These are some of our global celebrations. These are some of our customers across each industry and across each region. As you can see here, there are a lot of numbers, but however, we are very excited for you to become and to join our EPM community, to become one of our customers, because your success is our #1 priority. So I will leave my mic to Bishoy from Asdan, our implementation partner. He will walk you through some of our customers, but they're more into in the regions, how Asdan implemented the solutions for them, Oracle solutions for them. Just I would like to thank you very much for being here today. And these are my credentials. If you have any questions, you could reach me out on my email or LinkedIn, or you could visit oracle.com/applications/EPM for more information. And thank you very much for being here and for your presence. I'm going to stop the share now so that I could give the mic to my colleague Bishoy. Please go ahead.
Nala, thank you. While we're waiting for Bishoy to present, I just wanted to highlight to everybody, please use the chat window, or if you have any questions that need to be addressed towards the end of the session. Some of them cannot probably see the question answer console, so please use the chat window to respond to ask your questions. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Sarab. Thanks, Nahla. I hope you can see my screen and you can hear my voice clear.
Yes, Bishoy, we can.
Yeah, thank you very much. First of all, this is Bishoy Sami from Asdan. I work at home and I hope everyone stays safe. And please excuse me if there is any noise coming from the background. I have 3 kids, 7 years old and 3 and 1, and for sure they are not under control all the times. So I hope you and your families again stay safe and work hard during this critical time. And it's all about the adaptation since we are need to deal with the critical time that we do have right now. So we will continue our work normally and we'll continue work hard. So from Asdan, I'd like to highlight Asdan. It's a specialized company in the area of the enterprise performance management with Oracle applications, the leading application in the market. We are having offices in Cairo. We have offices in Dubai and in Abu Dhabi. We have offices in Riyadh as well. We are mainly serving the Middle East, and we extended our offering also to serve other regions. We started in UK in 2019 and in Kigali also in late 2019. We do have 100% successful projects around the enterprise performance management, as we do have a lot of passion around such type of applications. And when we are talking about the critical time, as Sorab and Nahla mentioned, it's very important to have an effective planning and budgeting process and reporting and analysis running into our organizations to be able to deal with the any changes in the market, any changes in the conditions. What I'm going to do today is to highlight some of the, I can call it use cases or case studies that's maybe similar to what you have in your organizations. I hope you hear about Dar Al Mamar Group. It's one of the, I can call it, main real estate developers based in Egypt. They are serving different, I can call it, sectors such as the hospitality as well, like the real estate. They do have a very big, I can call it, arm for the engineering. What we have done there, and it went live and it works perfectly with their organization, is to have the concept, we call it like connected planning and budgeting. They are running the Oracle e-business suite as a core ERP system to run their operations. They do have different systems as well to handle their sales, to handle their projects executions and the management. And at the end, they would like to connect all those pieces together into a one solid and robust platform that's giving them the ability to do anything around the revenue plans coming from the different sectors, as I mentioned, and they definitely use different drivers and the different assumptions and calculations. Anything around the production planning, using the artificial intelligence, as Nahla mentioned, to plan the future for the predictive budgeting, using the Oracle Enterprise Performance Management to monitor and to control the execution of the activities through a proper workflow and through a proper, I can call it, security as well. In addition to the integration, the security, the workflow, the robust platform that we are talking about, in Oracle EPM with the DMG Mountain View, Dar Al Mamar, we created for them very, I can call it, advanced dashboards and analysis, and also some nice reports with a proper layout that they can directly print it from the system. And when we are talking about what if scenarios, so consider with the respect of the current, let's call it, dynamic that we see into the market, how can easy we go back and check what type of expenses that we cannot live without it. We can call it, let's call it, recurring expenses or mandatory expenses, and what are the other expenses that we could make some saving right now on it. So running such type of scenarios using a robust platform, giving them the ability to adopt such type of changes extremely quickly and easy. They can generate such type of, I can call it, reports. And from the other side, when we are talking about also financial consolidation, which is again part of the core for Oracle Hyperion applications or Oracle Enterprise Performance Management, we call it these days, the ability to adopt such type of, I can call it, changes. And in addition to this, the Oracle EPM, it come with something that we call it Excel interface. So all the users, they used to have Microsoft Excel. There is no need to waste or to capitalize, or sorry, to build the knowledge from scratch. Business users, CFOs, FP&E people, finance people, they can capitalize on their knowledge related to the Excel, since you can perform all the functions for the Oracle Planning Cloud through Microsoft Excel applications. In addition to this, I'll share also another case study for a very huge investment group, which is also giving you the flavors of the Oracle platform, how it's robust and how it can be extended to cover different sectors. Tabarak Investments, it's a huge investment. They do have huge manufacturing companies. They are participating in different sectors, commercial, in insurance, in financial services in general. They do have investments in banks. It's a huge portfolio. And by the way, they are owning big companies, and they are investing heavy in Egypt and in Africa in general. So having such type of, again, huge group, and in order to, again, running a proper financial plan, and in this case, as Nahla mentioned, when we are talking about Oracle Enterprise Performance Management, we can adopt more and more, I can say, different types of financial plans, not only the short term like budgeting, but also it could be like a midterm and even long term when we are talking about our return on investments, when we are talking about calculated the projections for our balance sheet in the future in order to come up with what is the cash required or what is the cash, let's call it surplus, that we do have in order to reinvest this cash in different ways, how we can actually organize our debts, and how we can organize how we can make the payments, and running a lot of scenarios. All of such type of scenarios, it can be generated easy through the Oracle Planning Cloud, which is a very specialized tool called the scenario modeling, and it was very, very advanced, and it's implemented even in many big banks related to the corporate credit, as an example, in order to make a proper assessment for the financials that we are generating and what is the capability for each company, again, not only in short term but even in longer term, like 3 years or even 10 years plan, giving all types of financial analysis and even non-financial analysis, generating management reports, generating very, as I said, advanced dashboards and advanced analysis. I have also a very nice case study which is related to the Yes Holding. Yes Holding, it's a company based in Abu Dhabi initially, but then why we are highlighting this company over here, because in the last 2 years, this company invested in Egypt by acquiring different companies in agriculture sector, in healthcare sector, and in commercials, in training as well. The portfolio in Egypt now could reach easy to $1 billion in terms of acquisitions and in terms of the expansions. And what we do over there to have, again, a clear link between all the companies they are acquiring in Egypt, as an example, to the main holding company sitting here in United Arab Emirates. Again, the different plans, definitely when we are talking about agriculture, their business, let's call it from crop to harvest. When we are talking about commercials and the trading, it's different. When we are talking about healthcare and per patient and analysis per patient, per hospital, per department, a lot of, again, huge trading business they do for the, let's call it healthcare items as well. So all of such type of scenarios and analysis and the deep link, let's call it linking the actual data and the operational data to come up with, again, operational plans running 100% on Oracle planning applications. So this is actually opening the door for the organizations to be able to adopt, again, any changes in the market quickly, to have a clear visibility about what they need to achieve in the near future and even in long term. And in addition to this, giving them a clear control and the clear governance about the process, as we said, through a proper workflow, through a proper analysis. The concept, by the way, which is we're proud to say, and we focus a lot on using the Oracle EPM platform, we are talking about end-to-end connected or integrated planning and the budgeting process, not only covering the part related to the preparations of the plans, we call it planning formulation or budgeting formulation, but actually we are extending this to the budget execution as well. So all the organizations, they can easily monitor their executions for the plans. I can say, and this is not something by example, this is by fact, for the case studies that I mentioned, they are monitoring the execution on daily basis. On daily basis, we see our figures, how it's updated. We see the impact. in order to make any corrections. We will not wait until the month close in order to see our consolidated, let's call it, aggregated financial reports. Since the consolidation, it requires some journals to be posted according to the accrual base of accounting, as you are aware about the concepts. But I'm talking about, I need to monitor my sales, I need to see my revenue, I need to look at my expenses on daily basis, I need to look into my, let's call it, projects execution, what is we are going to do in terms of the revenue recognition, revenue forecasting. I need to update my forecasting process. I need to perform not only a quarterly forecast or a monthly forecast, even some advanced techniques related to rolling forecast, as Nahla mentioned in her presentation. This is definitely can be done with the proper integrations with the source systems. So all of these cycles can be 100% automated and connected to each other. In addition to this, in Asdan, we do focus a lot on the Oracle EPM applications, and we keep adding more applications and the more, let's call it, usability for the applications. So we developed a native mobile application running on Android and iOS, and it works perfectly with the Oracle EPM cloud applications, giving the users the ability to generate a very nice dashboards, very nice ad hoc analysis, managing the approvals, managing the users, and even more and more features, which is giving the users for the Oracle EPM applications the ability to execute their business through mobile. We call it on the go. In addition to this, we are not only, let's call it, people doing a technical implementations. We do have, I can say, deep business knowledge about giving you advices how you can improve your planning and budgeting process, how you can run a very effective costing and the profitability model. We keep developing certain content related to, again, planning and budgeting, since this is our concern, and other interesting topics in this guide. Let's call it, it's a free, you can download it if you will go to asdan.com under resources over here. You can simply just free download this guide. It will give you, again, a more understanding about what Nahla mentioned. Let's say if you need to adopt a zero-based budgeting techniques, if you need to adopt a specific approach or projects-based planning, or if you need to do any kinds of different types of plans to supercharge your planning and the budgeting process. It's designed for FP&A people, and also you can find here a lot of other materials related to financial consolidation best practices and some other stuff as well. I'd like again to thank you for your time today, and for sure you can have my contacts to approach me for any questions and the clarifications. Thanks a lot, and let me hand over the mic to Saurabh. Thank you again.
Bishoy, thank you so much. Some people have questions, Bishoy, and I will take them in order. But I will address these questions to you first and then probably move to Nala. So, a lot of people on this call from finance are intrigued to know that we talked about scenario building, we talked about what if analysis, right, Bishoy? So, as a finance person and in the current situation, how easy or difficult is it to tweak your existing plan or do a course correction? So do you have a recommended methodology, saying step one, step two, step three? So I think it's very important that we address that for the finance personas on this call.
Yes, very good question, and actually, it's needed during this time. Definitely, the actions or the steps we are going to do, it depends on the current setup that we have into our organizations for, let's call it, scenario modeling. It depends on what type of drivers, let's say, we are using. It depends on the availability of the data that we have. It depends on the requirements for this scenario. So are we going to change our revenue and look into our expenses at this moment, or we need to run an extended scenario that also look to our, let's call it, payables and receivables and our debts, and engage all of those pieces together in order to come up with the scenario modeling. But what I'd like to highlight over here, definitely this is from the business perspective. But what I'd like to highlight over here, which is I'm quite sure the experts, they are attending this session with us, they know exactly what is required and what they can do in order to come up with the proper scenario. From, let's call it, Oracle and Asdan side, what we can do, we can help to automate and to streamline this cycle. I don't like the FP&A people to go and stay for days and nights in order to come up with the numbers. What we can facilitate over here through Oracle Planning Cloud platform is to give them the ability to go and simply change some parameters, update some figures, run the scenario in few, I can call it hours. They will have the new updated figures properly in order to take decisions on this. I hope this answered the question.
I think it does. It's addressed very nicely in terms of how do you formulate a strategy basically to approach the change in plan. Another question from the forum, Bishoy, is that I have non-Oracle based applications. So I could be on legacy systems, I could be on Excel sheets, right? Now, is there a way I could connect to Oracle solutions and specifically Oracle enterprise planning solutions?
Yeah, yes, very good question. Actually, this is a common case, and that's why Oracle, part of the, let's call it, features that they are offering with the Oracle Planning Cloud. It's something we call it EPM agent. It's a kind of a web service that's actually responsible to deal with your on-premises applications or even cloud-based applications, to build a direct integration with such type of applications. So if you have your data on spreadsheets, if you are not using Oracle ERP applications, if you are using multiple different sources, again, we can directly connect with those on-premises or cloud applications and get the data. And when we are talking about the data, we are talking not only about the financial data, but also non-financial data to generate the management reports, to generate any operational KPIs, any statistical analysis and reports. So this is definitely one of the, I can call it, main advantages of using Oracle Planning Cloud applications.
Thank you, Bishoy. And I think this again is the last one, which is addressed to you as our specialized partner. Um, if I am a finance company, I'm an organization, and I need to subscribe to Oracle solutions and specifically, let's say, EPM planning solutions, correct? So, from an implementation perspective, could you throw some light in terms of what is the implementation time frame? Are there any prerequisites in terms of engaging, right? What kind of resources are required? So, what does it take to implement such an EPM solution?
It's very good. Usually it depends the time frame for such type of engagements. It depends definitely on the scope of work. But let's say we are looking for usually quick wins. So in terms of what's required from your organization to adopt the such type of, let's call it, robust planning applications, it's as simple as the current working spreadsheets that you have. This is the only thing required from your side. So it's, let's say, in one day, few days. It doesn't, definitely depends on the complexity of your organizations and the diversity of your business. We, as a specialized business consultants, we will sit with you. We will analyze those spreadsheets. We will understand what you are doing, and accordingly, we will come up with what is the design that we recommend in order to start using the Oracle Planning Cloud applications, we can finish this entire exercise and having something up and running within very, very few weeks. I can say 4 to 5 weeks could be enough in order to generate, let's call it the first step in your planning, which is financial plans. I need to have my income statement, my balance sheet, my cash flow, some analysis, financial analysis. But this engagement could be extended up to, let's call it 3 or 4 or 5 months. It depends on what other operational plans that you need to include in terms of now I need to plan my revenues in more detail. I need to have more detail about my workforce planning, my capital planning, my projects planning, and any other expense types that we do have into our organizations. But for sure, and we recommend such type of approach, and we encourage even the users by offering a very, I can call it simple offering. We call it fixed scope offering in some cases, which is limited to specific quick wins that we can achieve into your organization.
Thank you, Bishoy. Nala, I think there are some questions which I should pose to you. One question which came in on the chat was from an Oracle solution offering perspective, do we have any recommended best practices which are available out of the box?
Okay, thank you for the question. So in regards to best practice out of the box, yes, we have the projects planning, workforce, capital, and financial planning as well. In terms of methodology, which is the best practice from where to start in implementation perspective, I would say start with whatever holds the most value for you. So if you're in construction or professional services, definitely you could start with projects and financials and then work your way up, because the solution is scalable, which means you don't have to implement all of the solutions at once. You could have it in different phases. So also if you are into manufacturing, you could start with the financial and workforce planning. So it really depends on whatever precedes the most value for you. But all of these are available out of the box. So it's a matter of configuration in order to meet your personalized needs. But the dashboard, the KPIs, the flows, the process is already all of them available on Oracle Planning Cloud.
Thank you. And I think this next question is probably related to how you responded earlier. So there are certain organizations who are clearly not, have the appetite for onboarding a fully enterprise planning solution, right? So do you have a recommendation for them if they can start implementing on use case basis or department wise, or any recommended strategy from Oracle?
Thank you for this question as well. And yes, I'm going to just maybe get into more details about from my previous response, which is, of course, you could go with a specific business process, which could be financials or capital or workforce or even projects. And because this for you will be a quick win, so you can capture all of the relevant information and then you work your way up. I always recommend that in all of the cases, the financial planning should be there, because a key attribute of your planning process is to see the impact on your financial statements, let's say. So, and this is where the pool where you can see all of the expenses and the revenue that has been arisen from all of the best practice business proceeds available. You can see it all in one dashboard and in one report and so on. So as part of my implementation experience and my background, it's always good to have the financials planning at least, and then see what other solutions you'd want to implement right with it. I hope that answered the question, Saurabh.
I'm sure you answered it, Nala. Thank you so much. So we have 2 minutes till we finish this call, and I really wanted to summarize this session for today. So hopefully, from Oracle's messaging perspective, we were able to throw some light and expose you to some really good tools, which you could use in the current scenario and handle the current emergency situation, right? And expose you to better ways of planning your organization strategy. So hopefully that worked in your interest. What I would want you guys to do now is if you have any more questions, please send me an email. You have my email coordinates. Plus, you obviously are engaged to the Alliance, to the Oracle sales rep. If you have any questions, please ask them later. Maybe after this call, you can send them an email. And again, I would like to end this by thanking you again for all participating in this webinar this afternoon. I wish you all the very best and hope you stay safe and healthy. Thank you, everybody, for joining this call.
Thank you.